Hey everybody! In today's gel press tutorial, I am going to show you a faux reductive painting technique, which is based on a reductive painting class that I took many years ago at Jerry's Artorama that I've adapted to stamping supplies. I have some gel press prints here, and I've used dies to cut out some interesting shapes out of a very low-tack clear contact paper. I thought that using contact paper would be much better than masking paper because it would let me trap the pieces of the gel press design that I found most attractive underneath the mask and adjust it to get just the perfect little vignette of my print underneath the die-cut shape. What's fabulous about the tack level of this particular adhesive is that it is totally removable and doesn't damage the acrylic paint on your gel press prints. And I have here in front of me both cardstock prints and copy paper prints. And you'll see that the tack level is just perfect and doesn't damage the paint that is already down there. Now, I decided to go through my big giant stack of prints that I've been saving for someday. I know you know how that is. And I found some and I was like, you know what? I just need to use these. So I came up with this after a little ghost of a memory of this awesome class that I took at Jerry's. Now, in the class that I took, we just painted very abstract, very colorful paintings with acrylic paint. And then the teacher asked us to take a darker paint and work from the outside in to form a shape. And one of the shapes that I did that actually the painting is still on over my fireplace was a pear. And I loved it. I started with something really simple because this was a new technique to me. But with dies and die cutting, I don't have to be good at drawing, which is very important to me because I'm not. So I thought, how can I put these two things together and make it a fun thing to do with your prints? And this is what I came up with. So this beautiful little bird is kind of interesting because it's not just a silhouette like the pear that I'm using. It has little markings marked out on the bird that you'll see when I pull the mask off. And then this one is the city skyline die that has kind of a Moroccan or Middle Eastern feel to it. And I had already stuck that down before I started filming. And I know it's stressful to cover up those beautiful prints, but I think you'll really like the result. Now, the one thing that I didn't do was really go over and press down the contact paper around the little openings, like the windows in the city skyline and the opening on the bird. And so when I pull it off, they'll be a little bit imperfect, but it was actually really easy to clean up with water and a paper towel. Now, I love this little tool. It has one pointy end and one spatula end. It's great for doing little projects like this. So I'm going to find a good spot on the bird to get the tip of that pointy end underneath the contact paper, or just the tools that I have on the end of my hand, my fingernails. Now I'm being pretty gentle here because this is the first time I tried this technique is when I was filming. And so I wanted to make sure that the surface wasn't damaged. But this is a completely safe medium to use on top of your prints. I have another brand that I bought, but I haven't tested it yet. So I'm just going to recommend the one that I used today here. And look at that little bird. He's so cute. And see how I got the center of that pattern kind of radiating out around the body of the bird? I love that the clear lets you do that. Now you can just keep the backing and stick this mask on here. I have reused these several times. I made a few samples and you can use these masks over and over again, so there's no need to throw that little guy away. Just hang on to the masking paper when you're preparing your project. Now, there was actually a little piece of the skyline sticking over the edge of this piece of paper, so that made it easy to get the mask lifting started. This one's a little bit unusual because some of the peaks of the building are much taller than the rest of this mask, and so they're a little bit trickier to pull off without pulling off the whole thing at once. So you'll see me kind of being careful on the taller little spires. And see, you can see how I got a little bit messy outline around those windows because I just didn't press it down at all. I don't know what I was thinking. I was excited to start filming and I just had squirrel brain, but I do know better. And so when you go to do it, just make sure if there's a little opening in your die cut that you really give that a little bit of pressure to get yourself a tight seal. But you can see how cleanly this masks against the paint. And I'll put the paint that I'm using down below, but any acrylic paint will work. Any color will work. If your print is dark enough, you can always try white for your reductive technique, and that will work just as well. Personally, I think that card makers tend to be afraid of black on their cards when I think it adds so much to cards. But, we love color and we love white space, and so we don't really use black as much as we should, but gives a lot of gravity to your design, and so I wanted to show it to you in black. Now, this set of dies is actually a little group of nesting pairs, and you can do some really fun stuff with this die, so I'll link you to this below. It's really beautiful for techniques like this because it gives you a lot of canvas to work with. I just think that's gorgeous. And I was able to pick that little shape that I felt like looked like fruit because my mask was clear. So here's what they look like. Aren't they beautiful? I love each one. They're all so different and simple to make into cards. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching.